What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this one, we have why did Poland's border change so much after World War II? A short animated documentary. Um, we learned, I believe, that even after World War II, Poland was still under occupation from the Soviets. And so until then, they were still under communism and under their occupation. But to be honest, I don't know 100% why the border changes. So I guess this video will be very informative. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Let's learn something.
When World War II began, Poland had these borders, and when the dust had settled, they looked like this, with this area being permanently lost to Warsaw and all of these former German lands becoming a part of the reborn Polish state. But given how different Poland looked just 6 years earlier, it raises the question, why? So throughout the Second World War, the major Allied powers, not you, were constantly in negotiations about what was to happen to Poland after they were victorious. At first, the British had hoped for the restoration of the pre-war Polish government who everyone would then negotiate with. But as the Red Army swept across Eastern Europe, it became clear that Stalin had other plans. As such, Britain and the United States had to make sure that the Polish post-war settlement aligned with Soviet security needs. The Soviets wanted more buffer between Moscow and Berlin, and as such, that meant two things: Soviet gains to the west and German losses to the east. A significant chunk of Poland's pre-war population were Ruthenians, Russians, Ukrainians or Belarusians, and so Stalin wanted to incorporate them into the USSR. Of course, much of this had previously been done under the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, but many weren't too happy with that agreement persevering, and so Stalin opted to negotiate with the Polish government in exile. They weren't willing to give him everything he wanted, and so he just made his own Polish government, who soon agreed. To Britain and the US...
That's crazy. So Stalin tried to negotiate with the Polish government, I guess to fall under Soviet demand or occupation or whatever it was, and that Polish government was like, no, we're not giving you that. No. So Stalin decided to put his own government in place in Poland, government that would agree with him, which is absolutely crazy, but what has been done by many countries that I've learned through reaction videos. And so that government agreed, and I guess they fell under Russian occupation at that point.
Him everything he wanted, and so he just made his own Polish government, who soon agreed. To Britain and the US, because getting Stalin on side was the most important part of putting the war behind them, they threw Poland under the bus. The agreement between Stalin and...
That was absolutely dirty how they just left Poland out to hang after they just fought this war, and Poland had done so much in this war, had fought so hard, was attacked by both sides in this war, and the US and UK and its allies left Poland out to hang.
In the new Polish government was that Poland would lose most of the lands that the Soviets gained in 1939, and in return Stalin would push for Poland to expand westward into Germany. Now, the reason why Stalin returned these two areas to Poland wasn't because he was a stand-up guy, it was because he didn't want the changes to look like a diktat. It was, of course, but it was enough that Britain and the United States could pretend that they hadn't just caved to a dictator. During the Potsdam Conference in 1945, the Allies agreed that Poland's western borders would go up to here until a permanent solution could be negotiated. So why these lands in particular? Well, for a start, giving them to Poland meant that any potential resurgent Germany would have to fight a much more industrialized nation with a large river as a natural border. Furthermore, by destroying East Prussia and giving Poland Gdansk, the territorial tensions which led to war in the first place were now gone for good, as were the Germans living there. Now,
it's like you never know about this stuff. Like, you don't even think, I personally, but I wouldn't even think, putting a river right there would be a good spot to stop the border, and it will make it harder for Germany to have a resurgence in the future and fight against Poland again, which is crazy, which makes complete sense on why they would want it to stop there, but I hadn't even thought about that. But you just kind of think of the big powers in the place are making kind of all the decisions. This is the US and the UK talking to Russia and the Soviets about, all right, how are we going to do these borders? Poland is not having a say in any of this.
Poland's newfound lands were to be populated by the Polish who were already at that point living in the USSR and those whom Stalin had arrested over the previous decades. And by settling millions of people there, West Germany, or later a unified Germany, wouldn't have much of a claim to the lands. And the Cold War soon meant that there was no further Allied conference on formalising Poland's borders. But of course, it wasn't long until temporary borders became permanent ones, thereby completing Poland's movement westward. I hope you enjoyed this episode, with a special thanks to my patrons.
I think that was a dope video, and I did get to learn. I love videos where I get to learn more about history, and I didn't even know about like Poland's border changing from right after World War II or before World War II until, and then they changed after World War II to become the borders that make Poland now. I didn't know that they had changed to move westward, which is wild. But yeah, that's very interesting, and I guess those temporary changes became permanent, and now Poland is Poland. So before they were more eastwards, and then Germany was more eastwards as well, and those were Germany's territory, and they gave that, cut it off, gave it to Poland since the Soviets were taking this part of Poland. Wow. What do you guys think about that in the comment section? Very intrigued to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Check out the next one, and I'll see you guys next time.